here in secret. Yeah, so conference delegates, organizers, network chairs, and the next speakers, of course, good morning and welcome, everybody. I am Christy Jauregui-Ondarra, and I am one of the local organizers here. My colleague, Chris James, will be joining us in a couple of minutes. In 2022, I was fortunate to meet this research network in Valencia. And I was like amazed about the different scopes, the different educational sectors, ranging primary, secondary, university, education, and teacher training. So I am delighted that we can organize this edition, the 31st edition of this conference here at Utrecht University. So, yeah, I think that you will be talking a little bit more about the program, but I think that we have an excellent program, that we will be targeting key issues which are so important in our society nowadays, where it seems that being different, having a background, is like scary, and we are experiencing now that's a huge polarization in different countries. So I think the topics of this conference are really key to all of us, and we should, of course, start with the youngest, with the youngest. So let me tell you something about Utrecht University. Yeah, because Utrecht University is one of the oldest universities in the Netherlands. It is almost 400 years old. It was established in 1636. Yeah, so and we have three different campuses. We have this campus for the humanities, and here this building belongs to the Faculty of Law. Now we are in the civic medical center of the city, and we also have two other campuses with big buildings, big rooms. Yeah, and these are located for students in sciences and medicine, and this here. Our teaching is really in small groups. We have like groups of 20 and 25 students, and in total, between undergraduate and graduate students, we have something like 30,000 students. So it is a huge university, okay, and it is really ideally located in the middle of the Netherlands. It's really very convenient, yeah, to work here and to study here. We are also very proud of the excellence of our research colleagues. Many colleagues have gotten having awarded with very precious prizes, like Nobel Prize or the Smash Prize. So it is really an honor to be part of it here at Utrecht University. The university's academic building, which is only a few minutes walk from here, was a place where the country was founded. Yeah, so which is really, and you will be seeing it from outside this afternoon if you are doing the guided tour. You have seen Utrecht is really a very nice city. It's beautiful, right? So, and really, it was difficult to get the rooms here, but I'm very happy that we are having the venue here at the center. There is a dome tower, but I think that we will be visiting. It is from the 14th century, and it is like 112 meters high. So you have a very nice view of the Netherlands. You know that there's not one piece in any mountains here. Yeah, and it is really very close to the center. It's very close to the canals that you can find in many Dutch cities as well. Yeah, and maybe the important thing is to listen to the keynotes and to the colleagues. So I said I would be doing it very short. Again, I feel very welcome here at Utrecht University. any issues, any questions, any things that please come to me. So I will be glad to answer any question you have. Bueno, y como tenemos un grupo muy importante de hispanohablantes.
Sonido, que no se oye al final, más cerca.
Aquí ya tengo.
Es que no se oye al final.
Que no se oye al final, más
Ahí.
cerca. Así, vale. Bueno, pues también, ¿no? Os quiero dar la bienvenida a todos vosotros aquí en Utrecht, en esta maravillosa ciudad y esta maravillosa universidad. Yo soy uno de los organizadores locales de la universidad. Soy Cristi Jauregui-Ondarra, trabajo en el Departamento de Humanidades, que está, bueno, por la Facultad de Humanidades, que está muy cerquita de aquí. Dentro de poco nos acompañará también mi compañero Chris James, ¿okay? O sea que estaremos los dos aquí para ayudaros con cualquier tema, con cualquier cuestión que surja. Antes comentaba en inglés que, bueno, que mi primer contacto con esta red de investigación fue en Valencia en 2022. Me impresionó sobre todo el tipo de trabajo que se está haciendo en diferentes sectores de educación, ¿no? Desde primaria hasta secundaria, hasta la universidad, formación de profesorado y abarcando diferentes disciplinas, desde las humanidades a las ciencias, matemáticas, etcétera, etcétera. Me impresionó y ahora estoy, la verdad es que muy feliz de poder acoger esta 31ª edición del Congreso aquí en Utrecht. Creo que tenemos un programa muy interesante y vamos a tratar temas que son cruciales de tratar a todos los niveles de la educación, la primaria, secundaria y la universidad, y es el tema de la comunicación intercultural. Vista la situación en la que nos encontramos en muchos países, tanto Europa, Estados Unidos, de no querer, no poder aceptar, no entender al otro, ¿no? El que es diferente, el que es... Por eso que temas como inclusividad, comunicación intercultural, ya saber distinguir entre lo que son fake news y lo que es verdadera información es más importante que nunca. Así que los temas claves de esta conferencia son vitales, yo creo que para todos. Permitidme deciros algo también sobre la universidad, bueno, que es una de las universidades más antiguas de Holanda, que estamos justo en el centro neurálgico del país, con lo cual tenemos muchos estudiantes, más de 30.000 estudiantes. Tenemos 3 campus, este es el histórico, y la verdad es que es un placer poder trabajar aquí. Aquí tenemos nuestros despachos y las salas donde las aulas donde damos clase. Aparte tenemos, bueno, un campus muy grande, muy moderno, con edificios enormes, con gran cantidad de estudiantes. Pero a mí lo que me apetecía, lo que a nosotros nos apetecía era poder organizar el congreso aquí, justo en el corazón de la ciudad. Así que, bueno, pues como institución hemos estado trabajando en ello. Tenemos investigadores excelentes aquí en la Universidad de Utrecht, tenemos unos investigadores que van a conseguir el premio Nobel, el premio Spinoza, y es bueno, todo un honor poder trabajar también aquí y poder realizar nuestra labor didáctica y pedagógica y también la de la investigación. En cuanto a Utrecht, ya habéis visto que es una ciudad maravillosa, preciosa, como muchas en Holanda, o sea, que si tenéis también la posibilidad de visitar otras ciudades, yo os animaría a hacerlo. Es una ciudad medieval, esta tarde, bueno, me iréis viendo los edificios más importantes de Utrecht, como es el edificio académico que pertenece a la universidad, que es donde se firmó el tratado que dio lugar a la creación de lo que hoy en día son los Países Bajos. Que está muy cerca del Dom, que es esta torre enorme que tenéis ahí. Os hacemos a subir por esa escalera y colocarme las pistas que os ofrece. Luego además tenéis muchísimos canales, o sea que podéis, bueno, crear como una especie de viaje en algún barquito por los canales, otras cosas que hacer, además de disfrutar de fantásticas presentaciones. Bueno, y para finalizar, pues eso, otra vez, agradeceros el que estéis aquí hoy con nosotros, tantísimos de vosotros con muchas ganas de escucharos y nada, espero que disfrutéis mucho, como yo pienso que lo voy a hacer, de esta edición de la conferencia. Muchas gracias.
Can I use this? Thank you. Thank you, Christy. Thank you very much. I want to thank Christy for her being a wonderful host. As she said, we met in Valencia. A lot of you have been to Valencia before, beautiful city. And these conferences sort of roll like this from one interested university to the next interested university that wants it. But we've called it the 31st, but in fact, Bill and I started this, and it's our very first Common Ground conference 35 years ago in Australia as a political intervention. You can believe it, because we believed that the conferences at the time were closed. You know, they were gated communities and they were for your CV. They were not for action, you know, and not for bringing together students, professors, administrators, and even politicians where we could get them, because the challenges we face, and of course the challenges that we all going to talk about at this conference, have always been great, but none greater than this moment, particularly with what's happening in the digital world and with generative AI. You know, there are such enormous challenges. And of course, the issue of diversity and the stubborn inequalities that persist, we haven't really been able to tackle them. And perhaps there's something in the digital that might help us, perhaps not, but it depends on us. But for Bill and me, it's a very emotional conference because it was the first one. And we didn't know that 35 years later, we'd be here with all of you people. And it's wonderful to see so many of you choosing to come together. I have to admit that we're in America now. We've been in America for 17 years. And, you know, being in America, you realize that the second language, and perhaps eventually the first language, is Spanish. So we decided that we had to do the conference in English and Spanish, you know, as two main languages. In fact, my dream was to do it in the language of every country that we went to. The logistics made that very hard. But at least it's a start, and we get to mix with each other and to hear each other and to form relationships. Above all else, these conferences about forming relationships and then taking action as a consequence, you know, joining together in research or in any kind of political agenda or whatever matters to you. And they're gatherings, you know, gatherings of friends, of colleagues, and we like to get to know each of you intimately as people, as well as scholars and academics. So it is really wonderful for us to be, for Bill and I to be here today in a wonderful country. It's a very beautiful country. And this university has been very generous in hosting us. As Christy said, this is the largest hall in the oldest university. So, you know, mass education has now produced a lot more who fill these halls. So it's a wonderful thing. And of course, many of our students don't fill any of the halls anymore because they're coming to us online. And you would have seen us hugging each other because we've seen each other over the years in the Zoom tiles. And finally we say, oh, you're in the flesh. It's wonderful to come together in the flesh after, you know, years now in the Zoom tiles. We belong in the Zoom tiles. But the digital is becoming more and more meaningful and more challenging and more complex across all the issues. So I don't want to say any more. Bill's going to give you some more details, except to welcome you warmly and to say it's wonderful to be together again in this beautiful country. Bill?
So I'm going to speak practically about the format of the conference. How do I get away from this yellow light? I want to see you as opposed to you. Ah, that's better. Oh yeah, the statistics. By the way, the first statistic is 35 years, and I want to promise you I was only 11 when we did it the first time. The statistics are we've got about 450 people total at the conference, Spanish 175, English 280, but that includes about 300 in person here. Thank goodness 300 didn't turn up this morning actually. So people come, it's a 3-day conference, so we were very worried about this room. So thank you everybody for piling in. And we have 150 people online as well, and from 45 different countries. So one of the things we're very proud about is the fact that this is genuinely international. So I was going to say a few things about what we aim to do here. So firstly, the idea is not education. The idea is not instruction. It's not teaching, it's learning. So the focus always was on learners as active agents in the learning process. And one of the things about active agents is the minute you have active agents anywhere, their differences become visible. Yeah. So if you're just sitting here listening to me, from my point of view now, you might as well all be the same because it's a generic kind of space and I'm saying something generic. But the minute you're granted agency, your differences become visible. So hopefully by encouraging so many people to present, so a very large proportion of the people here are presenting on their work, you'll get to hear those differences. So that's a little thing about our philosophy. I looked this morning at this and I thought, intercultural, digital, global, inclusive, oh my goodness, this is big. But one of the things we've always tried to do is build a kind of interdisciplinary approach. If it was just about literacy education or just about math, we might have got lost in the weeds of specifics. So what we're on about is this kind of big picture view of how all these things fit together in an interdisciplinary kind of way as well. Yes, we're all in learning education, but we come with many different disciplinary perspectives and methodological specialisms. So that's the kind of thing about the philosophy. So in terms of the practical aspects of the conference, so many of you are presenting. Thank you very much for bringing this wonderful kaleidoscope of experiences and views and perspectives. So that's very, very important. The idea of a research network also is that conferences are ephemeral. All you come away with is, oh, I remember that paper, or I've got a business card in my pocket. But this is part of a process where now, post-COVID, many people have put digital media online. So don't forget there are, what they say, 150 people online who are not here, who for all sorts of good reasons can't afford to come here or not well enough to come here, whatever reason it might be. So you people who are presenting in person, please put digital media there. I think a lot of people have, most people have, and that'll allow the online people to participate. But also look at all the digital media, including the online presentation. So we want this to be genuinely blended between in-person and online. And one of the advantages, by the way, is if you're sitting in a session, go to that page because you can, while the session's running, you can be typing comments in there on that page. So in the reality of in-person conferences, there isn't much time for discussion and questions just because the program's pressured, but the amount of space there is on the page is infinite. And a small practical thing, although those conversations for each session are asynchronous, it does trigger an email to the other participants. So they will, it's not as if the words will be lost, they'll be caught by somebody else. So I really want to encourage you to use that feature. And also what happens as a result of that is we have a record of the presentations and also the discussions. But then the other aspect of this is we want to build validated peer-reviewed knowledge. So again, we have the journals. It became big, so it's now a number of journals, a book series as well. You have access to all of that. It's quite a remarkable body of knowledge now, many thousands of articles and over these years, and also the books. Use that resource. And one of the things we do in academia is we honour each other's presence by citation. I know people get cynical about citation because it's what drives careers, but actually it is a kind of human connection. It is important. So use the resource and cite other people who are here, particularly if there's something that was really, really interesting that you liked and you wanted to connect with it. I'm going to give a couple of contradictory bits of advice now. One is there's thousands of articles there and it's overwhelming. So we have advanced search so you can find exactly what you're interested in. But in the conference, a little bit of advice is go to things which are outside of your field of vision, countries that you haven't been to or don't know about, areas of discipline, of activity or methodology that you don't know about, and you might be surprised what you find. So, you know, one of the things in the mega kind of professional conferences, you go with all the people in your little network because the whole thing's overwhelming. Well, my suggestion here is do the opposite. And you might find some interesting synergies, connections, tangential lines of thought, which are really, really useful. That's just a thing that I find about the conferences. So I think I've covered all the main points now about this. And Jose Luis has remembered everything that Mary and I have said, and will translate it. No, we won't. Jose Luis instead will have his own story to tell, which may well be a different story and a better one. So, and I want to also thank Jose Luis for being a wonderful colleague for 20 years now. So he's been a part of this whole event. And also, look, what I need to do is I need to thank just very quickly the Common Ground people, Tatiana and Pablo is here as well. And so they work in Granada in the Spanish language area, but also we have back in Champagne, we have Philip Francis Cope, our son works there, and we've got a group of about half a dozen people there who do the publishing in Common Ground's a not-for-profit, and we have an office in the research park at the University of Illinois where we work. So, and Tamsin Gilbert, yeah. And there are others there as well. So we have a small team of people who diligently keep the wheels on this rather complicated thing, including, by the way, software development. So all the Scholar space is all software that we've developed ourselves. And the exciting thing is we're just building a completely new version of Scholar. So apologies if the old version is a bit creaky. We have 350,000 accounts there, and it was never designed for that. But the new version, which we're hoping to have out later this year, will have very fancy bells and whistles, generative AI all the way through it. So we're interested in mucking around with what these digital literacies in global context are going to be like. So stay tuned. All right, Jose Luis.
Bueno, pues, well, my presentation is going to be in Spanish, and I'd like to welcome you all to this 31st edition of this conference. And now I'm moving into Spanish. I will not translate the whole thing, I promise. We only have like 3 minutes, and then wait the time. Bueno, en primer lugar, es dar las gracias a Cristi por haber organizado esta edición del Congreso aquí en vuestra universidad, en esta ciudad tan bonita, que la verdad que hemos visto por ahora poco, pero encantadora. O sea, que muchísimas gracias de verdad por vuestra ayuda. Han hablado Bill y Mary. Bill y Mary son pues la esencia, el espíritu de Common Ground durante toda la vida de Common Ground. Ahora mismo son Philip Francis-Cope y Tamsin, que nos llevan desde Estados Unidos toda la parte, todo en general, pero en particular la parte en inglés. Y a partir de hace 2017, quizá un poquito antes, comenzamos a trabajar en español también, ¿no? Veíamos que en los congresos había mucha gente que quería hacer presentaciones y no encontraba el poder hacerlas en su lengua materna y le costaba quizá un poco de trabajo, y por eso fue el arrancar esta participación en español. La verdad es que tenemos 175 participantes en español, del total de 450, de los cuales, como decían, son 300 en total de los 450 en persona, los que tenemos aquí, y 150 están online. Para eso está grabándose. Aquí, como se decía antes, pues tenéis el agradecimiento y el reconocimiento al trabajo enorme de Tatiana, que está siempre ahí al pie del cañón en todos los congresos que lleva, que no son pocos, y Pablo, que lleva otros trabajos también con nosotros, pero que cada vez nos lo van robando un poco más de la parte de inglés también, y tenemos que estar ahí para quedárnoslo en español. Pablo está afuera también en el Research Desk. Hablaba Bill y Mary bueno, por todo el trabajo que se hace y de las palabras clave que tenemos en las presentaciones y en el congreso que nos traen hoy. Palabras clave que creo que nos podían dar para estar aquí quizá un mes hablando de cada una de ellas. Siendo algunos datos interesantes a nivel de participación, bueno, también, por supuesto, quiero agradecer a los presidentes locales, aparte de Cristi, a Christopher Jenks, que esta mañana no lo he visto todavía por aquí, y recordad que estamos de 45 países diferentes. Algunas noticias, así un poco de conference events que tenemos. I'm sorry. And good English. Conference two. Well, the conference two today is fully booked. But for the conference dinner on Thursday, we still have some spots left. So if you're interested, you can talk to Tatiana or Pablo at the reception desk. The lunches and coffee breaks will be outside of the Carmel Market. It's 1 minute walk from here. And there will be on Friday, I think, yeah, there will be a training, una grúa, la entrada principal, still, but we can go through. And well, in the rooms, you have to connect your presentations, your flash drive or pen to the computers there.
All computers.
All computers. Okay, so we have two options here. In some conferences, we can only use the flash drive, and then you can also use your computer, which is nice. If you have any questions, you can ask to our excellent emerging scholars that we have for this conference also. Decíamos que para el tour de hoy está ocupado, está reservado ya totalmente. Para la cena de mañana sí quedan algunos sitios todavía libres, y que el café y el almuerzo, el lunch, será en la cafetería que está justo enfrente, a 1 minuto andando desde aquí. Y nos avisaban de que el viernes tendremos una grúa ahí en la puerta, ¿no? Y nada, pues pasaremos por debajo de la grúa así despacito, que no habrá problema en pasar. Y también que se pueden en las salas conectar con el pendrive o llevar el ordenador directamente, que lo hace, la verdad, bastante más fácil. De nuevo, muchas gracias. Gracias a todos por estar aquí un año más. Ya son muchos y esperamos verlos el año que viene en Granada. Hablaremos de eso. Muy bien. Thank you. Gracias.